All right, math class, happy Monday. Today we're going to be moving on in our Module 10. We're doing 10.3 today, which is generating equivalent expressions. Now, we're only going to do half of 10.3 today because this lesson has a lot of content and I don't want you to get confused. So we're only doing half of it today. But your objective still is going to be you will be able to identify and write equivalent expressions. Now remember, the word equivalent just means equal in value. Two expressions may look different, but they could still be equivalent. To determine if the two expressions are equivalent, you need to substitute the variable or variables in both expressions with the number that we give you. So example 1, we have 5x plus 65. And we also have 5 times 13 plus x. I gave you the value of x, it's 3. So we know now from what we learned last week, we need to substitute this x for 3. So we're going to solve one just like you learned last week, and then we're going to solve the other one and compare. So 5 times 3, we replace the x with a 3. 5 times 3 plus 65. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 65 is 80. Now let's try the other side. We replace the x with a 3. 13 plus 3 is 16. 5 times 16 is 80. 80 equals 80. Those are equivalent. So yes, these are equivalent expressions because we got the same answer on both sides. Let's try another one. 5x plus 5. 5 times 12 minus x. We're going to replace the x with a 4 because I gave you the value of x. So let's do this side first. 5 times 4 plus 5. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 5 is 25. On this side, we replace the x with a 4 as well. 12 minus 4 is 8. 5 times 8 is 40. We did not get the same answer on both sides here. That means that they are not equivalent because 25 is not equal to 40. So these expressions are not equivalent. So right here, you're basically doing what you learned last week, which is solving these expressions, but you're just solving two now, and you're going to compare the answers and see if they're the same. Not too different from last week. But you're also going to be learning different properties. Some of these properties are words that you've already learned in your past grades or maybe briefly talked about, but we're going to be really applying them and using them more in depth. The first one is commutative property of addition. This is something you all know, but it just has a fancy title. 3 plus 4 is 7. That's the same exact thing as saying 4 plus 3 is 7. Just because you switch the order of the numbers, you still get the same answer. So commutative property is switching the order of the numbers in the problem. We also have commutative property of multiplication. Same thing except we're multiplying now. So 2 times 4 is 8. Well, we could also say 4 times 2 is 8. We switched the order of the numbers and still got the same answer. Associative property of addition is now we're not changing the order of the numbers, but we're changing how we're grouping the numbers. So remember, we use parentheses basically just to keep the problem more organized and to know where we should look first. It's kind of like in writing, you organize your writing by paragraphs. So when we have more than 2 numbers in an addition problem, we're going to group them so that doesn't get confusing. So 3 plus 4 plus 5, well, we grouped these with parentheses. So 3 plus 4 is what we solved first. That would be 7, plus 5 is 12. But we could also do it again and put the parentheses over here and group them differently. So now instead of solving these first, we're going to solve 4 plus 5, which is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. So we still get the same answer, even though we grouped the numbers differently this time. So we also have associative property of multiplication. Same thing. 2 times 4 times 3. We have more than 2 numbers in this problem, so we're going to group them. So we're going to solve 2 times 4 first. 2 times 4 is 8. Times 3 is 24. Well, right here, if I change the way I group it, I can group 4 times 3 first in the parentheses, which would be 12 times 2 is 24. Same answer. Now we have distributive property. This one is a little bit harder, but we're going to be practicing it a lot over the next week, so I know you'll get the hang of it. Distributive property. So what we normally do when we see a problem like this, we solve inside the parentheses first, right? 4 plus 2 is 6, and then we multiply it by what's outside the parentheses, 3 times 6, which is 18. But the distributive property is saying you don't have to solve it that way. You could still get the same answer by multiplying first and then adding the inside. So when you see a number right next to the parentheses like this, and there's an addition or subtraction problem within the parentheses, you could just say, well, 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, and now I'm just going to I already multiplied, so now I just need to bring down this plus sign. 12 plus 6 is 18. So you see we got the same answer. This time we just added and then multiplied, but this time we multiplied and then added those two numbers. Now you'll start recognizing this more, but you can always do the distributive property when there's a number right next to parentheses, and then there's an addition or subtraction problem within here. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about distributive, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So what this looks like with a variable, if I have 3 times x plus 2, so notice I can use a distributive property here because the 3 is right next to the parentheses, and there's an addition problem inside. I'm going to replace the x with a 5 because I know that x is 5. And then I'm going to multiply. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I'm going to bring down that plus sign. 15 plus 6 is 21. Okay, I'm going to be posting a homework assignment on Google Classroom in a little bit. You're not going to do homework from the book today because I split the lesson into 2 separate days. So look out for that today. I will put the homework on there. And then if you have questions after watching this video and practicing a few, you can send me a quick email and I will know that you need me, and I will hop on Google Meets between 11 and 12. And I am more than happy to help you. Your homework will be due at 9 p.m. And I will post these notes, the pictures of these notes as well, so that you can look back at them or copy them down on your own. All right, good job, guys. Proud of you.